Our final guest on the Rise today is an award-winning indie folk songwriter and multi-instrumentalist based in Toronto. Abigail Lapell's latest album is a stirring collection of traditional lullabies from around the globe performed on classical guitar and features some of her stunning vocal arrangements. She sings in English, French, Hebrew, Spanish, Yiddish, German, Japanese, and Welsh. Please help me welcome, wherever you are, the fabulous Abigail Lapell. Hello, Abigail. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for chatting with me today. I really appreciate you making the time. So, I'm so curious about this project. How how did it come about?
So I first got inspired to start learning more about traditional lullabies because I was teaching early childhood music classes.
Mm.
And so I was doing like really young 0 to 5 year old groups, and every class would end with a little fake sleep time, and children of all ages would get super into it. They would pretend to sleep, and it was extremely cute. And so so every week or whatever it was, I would try to learn and bring in a different lullaby, whether it was something I had grown up with or found on like an internet rabbit hole. And I was working so much with children at the time. This was kind of like pre-COVID.
Hmm.
And I always thought about, maybe trying to record a children's album, but I didn't have a super strong connection to like a lot of children's music. And I wasn't really writing children's songs. It didn't seem like it was a great fit, but people would often ask me if I had any sort of albums for kids. So anyway, the idea of doing something where it would just be like a super mellow and maybe a little oddball kind of project that, I mean, I would have liked it as a kid. I don't think it's really a children's album necessarily, but it kind of, yeah, it came out of some of that experience.
Beautiful. What is it about lullabies that are so universal? Like you mentioned in your classes, kids just loved pretending to be put to sleep. And I think there's something within lullabies that speaks to all of our hearts and our humanity. But what do you think that is?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's such a comfort thing. I mean, sleeping, I guess I definitely thought a lot during this record because I had really bad insomnia actually at one point
Mm.
during COVID, as many people did. And like, so maybe there's something about that too, the idea of just like being comforted and somebody taking care of you and sort of taking away all your stress and worries so you can kind of drift off to sleep. And it's so interesting too, some of the connections. Like someone actually just emailed me today, and they, because one of the songs is called Numi Numi, which is a Hebrew song, and Numi Numi just kind of means like sleepy time. It's sort of a sleepy
Hmm.
baby word. And she said, oh, in Greek, it's, what did she say? It's nani nani in Greek, but the same kind of idea. And in Arabic, I believe it's nami nami. So there's this kind of like just on the theme of that, this universal language of lullabies. There's a lot of these kind of common threads that you find, and yeah, it's been really interesting to research some of that.
That's quite beautiful. Just that idea of, humans are going to be humaning. Like, I just love that. That makes me so happy to hear things like that. Well, the reason I wanted to make sure to chat with you today is because I wanted to tell you that your album Lullabies is the number one album on CKUA's top 30 chart.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
isn't that wild? I love it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, CKUA programmers and everyone. That's so wild.
And I think that just kind of, again, speaks to just the power of music and the power of lullabies and the power of your musicianship and your brain. People like what you do.
Oh, that's so cool. I wonder too, maybe this time of year, like I don't know how it is there. I'm here in Toronto. It gets dark at like 4:25 p.m.
Yeah.
these days, so I think everyone's feeling like, some very mellow home vibes.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a time where we all seek quiet and comfort.
Mhm.
And yeah, your album just helps evoke that immediately. There's some mention of a song on the album that is kind of like a pieced together musical memory that you kind of fleshed out, and of a song that maybe your mom used to sing to you. What's that all about?
Yeah, the second song on the record is the only song in English, and it's called "Go to Sleep." And it was a song. Oh man, it's kind of a long story. It's a song my mom used to sing to us, me and my three siblings, and it was like, I guess she had written it with some friends like as a teenager for a summer camp play, something like this. So they had this song that they had that like her friends had written and she used to sing to us when she so I just I always loved the song so much. It kind of has it's sort of a little, just like a sweet kind of jazzy little number. And so I wrote a verse for it and then sort of arranged it with some harmonies. But then I told my mom about it. And I just put myself as the author, like in as far as the credits.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom got pissed. I mean, she wasn't really pissed, but she was like, "You did not write that song, Abigail." Young lady. So anyway, I'm in trouble with my mama. But I think she was also very touched by it. She got a little teary eyed because it was such a special song to her, and I just always loved it so much. And then I found, well, I just was chatting with one of my sisters about it, and she is a children's book writer. And it turns out she never finished this or published it, but she sent me, she had written like a children's book inspired by the song too. So it's given us all a lot of inspo over the years.
Yeah, that's so beautiful that you each have had this like deep relationship with this piece of music that has like lasted your whole lives so far. And I think that is such a really interesting thing about lullabies is that not only is it like a musical moment that gets imprinted on us, but it's also, just a moment of connection, of vulnerability, falling asleep and being relaxed enough to and feel safe enough to sleep is like such a huge thing that it's just so beautiful that that has like touched your life in that way. And now that you are also kind of helping it to grow and have a life beyond your family is really beautiful as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people will have this. Like my mom would just make up songs sometimes and sing them, and I didn't realize till years later that they were not quote unquote real songs. They
Songs,
were
yeah.
her own songs, and like it's just interesting as a songwriter to think about that. That's just such a natural, universal impulse, I guess, to want to sing to someone and comfort them. And I guess I love that too. That was one of the things I got so much out of doing the early childhood music classes because it's such a different way to look at. It's not some people are artists and some people are non-musicians. It's like everyone is just inherently musical, and it's just a question of tapping into it. So
You do have some shows coming up in Alberta in February. You're playing at the Nickelodeon Music Club in Calgary on the 24th. And I know, of course, it might not be a night of all lullabies, but what can folks expect when they see you live?
it's going to be myself and some special guests to be announced.
Ah,
And it's my first time at the folk club, so I'm really excited. I've never played at a folk club actually, so I'm really looking forward to it. And it's going to be a mix of some older tunes and some new songs, and maybe even a lullaby or two.
yeah, I'm excited for your Nickelodeon Music Club debut. This is great.
And tickets are on their Nickelodeon website, I believe.
Okay, great. Yes. Make sure you get your tickets now. They make good Christmas presents, some might say.
Exactly.
CKUA's number one album is Lullibies by the fantastic Abigail Lapell. Here is a very, very dear song to her and her family. This is Go to Sleep.